would like to begin today by congratulating all the graduates, whether it's from preschool, kindergarten, on through postgraduate work. And I especially like to congratulate two young women who are part of our congregation and who graduated high school. They've been through our Youth of Unity program, and they are Sophia Vitkoff and Emily Vanahan. And I'd like the congregation to bless them, and I've asked them to watch this in a couple of days because they're still partying. So we're going to say, Sophia and Emily, we love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you. Together?
Sophia and Emily, we love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you.
And we see them going on to do amazing things. How I would have loved to have been raised in unity. And so we know with our unity principles that they are well on their way to doing amazing things. Last week we began a 2-week series based on Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Now Brené comes with a lot of clout. She's a researcher who has been studying difficult emotions like shame, fear, vulnerability for many, many years. She has collected and conducted research on thousands of people. She has a PhD and a master's in social work. She's an instructor at the University of Houston Graduate College, and she has been featured on PBS, NPR, CNN, and Oprah. She has done 2 TED Talks, which I think you might want to check out if you have access to the internet. She did one on shame, and she did one on the power of vulnerability, and I put that address in your handout today. But let's go back to the title of the book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Gifts? Are you kidding me? You mean there are gifts to our imperfections? Wait, I thought they were gifts to our perfection. I mean, what have I been doing all my life? Striving to be perfect, even though I know we can't be perfect. But that's what I've been doing. I thought that being perfect was what you strive for, and not only that made you succeed in life, but it also made you go above and beyond, right? I mean, those of you who self-label as a perfectionist know what I'm talking about, I think. So, and guys, you're not going to believe what is lurking underneath perfectionism. Do you want to know? No? Yes? I can hardly say the word. It's shame. Yes, shame is usually the reason for perfectionism. That's what Brené says. Oh boy. I have a hard time saying the word, and I say perfectionism with pride. I mean, somebody, I'm a perfectionist. Yeah, that's a great thing to be. I can say that, but I have to believe Brené's research. I told you her credentials for a reason. She's done a lot of it, and she's gathered a lot of evidence for this. And not only that, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to change and grow. Brené was about to begin an online class, and a potential participant said to her, you might want to talk about shame being underneath all the perfectionism before you start the class, because my friends and I, we know we struggle with perfectionism, but we don't claim shame. I know how she feels, I do. But Brene says that we all have shame, and that if we don't claim it, it's going to claim us. And it's one of those things that sneaks into our lives through perfectionism. Oh, crap. Wait a minute, maybe I'm not supposed to say that. Oh my gosh, am I going to be excommunicated? Are you still going to love me?
Yes.
You see how perfectionism it ruins your life almost? That's how it works. It gets in there like a little worm. Brene says that perfectionism is not the same as doing your best. It's not about self-improvement, which is exactly what I thought it was. She says it's really important to know the difference between perfectionism and healthy striving if we want to live a wholehearted life. So what is a wholehearted life? How do we know if we want to live one, right? Well, I defined it last week, but not everybody was here last week. So from the research, the people who live a wholehearted life, they feel worthy. They balance rest and play. They trust. They have faith. They use their intuition. They hope. They're authentic. They love. They're joyful. And they feel like they belong. They have gratitude. And they are creative. I don't know about you, but I want some of that. That's good stuff. There are 3 main ingredients to a wholehearted life, and they are courage, compassion, and connection. Oh, I see I didn't capitalize that C. Darn! Can you change it quick, Jacob? No. That's funny. But I love the sound of that. Courage, compassion, and connection. Just has a nice sound to it. Last week we talked about courage. And Brene says courage is speaking honestly and openly about who we are, about what we're feeling, about what we're experiencing, good and bad. And today we're going to talk about how to use courage to have compassion and to connect with people. People who live a wholehearted life, they practice compassion for themselves and for others. And let's face it, there's a lot of suffering in the world. We suffer, don't we? And even though we're hardwired for compassion, because we need that in order to nurture our children and find a mate, it's still difficult to practice. I don't know why, but it is. And oftentimes, rather than respond to our own suffering with love and concern, we either ignore it or we beat ourselves up. Or we criticize and blame others for our suffering. We become the victim. Or if someone else is having difficulty, we find it too painful to look at. And so we withdraw or we judge them and we criticize the person because it's just too uncomfortable to stay with it. Dr. Kristen Neff is a professor who runs a self-compassion research lab. How would you like to have that job? Yeah, she's at the University of Texas at Austin. And what she studies is how we develop and practice self-compassion. And she says there are 3 elements to self-compassion, and they are self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. I got all of those. So self-kindness means being warm and understanding toward ourselves when we suffer, rather than ignoring our pain or beating ourselves up with self-criticism. Common humanity, I like this one because it means realizing that our suffering is a shared human experience. So we're not alone in this. Everyone suffers like this. I'm not happy that everyone does, but it's a relief that I'm not alone. Mindfulness, her definition is just a little bit different than what we might think of mindfulness, but it's taking a balanced approach to negative emotions. So we don't make our negative emotions a big deal, and we don't minimize them. So we balance those. We look at them as a balanced thing. Brene lists some things that we can do to increase our self-compassion, which is what we want to do, because it's so good for us. And here's the first one is to take the self-compassion scale, which is Dr. Kristen Neff. It's on her website, and it's a survey that you can take to rate yourself on how well you're being self-kind, how on common humanity, and the mindfulness, the three elements to self-compassion. And you can rate yourself on that to see how you're doing and where you might need to improve. And I did put that address in your handout so that you'll have it and you can go take that if you'd like to. Here's a good one. Allow yourself to not be perfect. Oh my gosh, can I do it? Brene likes thinking about the line in Leonard Cohen's song Anthem. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Isn't that great? You know, because it's a reminder for her that we don't have to control everything and make it perfect. You could come up with your own too, I'm sure. The third one is to wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to believe that showing up is enough. Showing up is enough. Do you believe it? And you might want to make up your own affirmation on that too. The song that Brenda sang, I love myself just the way I am. That's a good one. There are so many benefits for having compassion. In Rick Hanson's book, Just One Thing, he says that studies have shown that self-compassion has these benefits. It reduces self-criticism, yay! It lowers the stress hormones like cortisol. Jacob told me this morning that that's what I could do. I just needed to lower my cortisol. It increases self-soothing, self-encouragement, and other aspects of resilience. We need that. And it helps to heal any shortages of caring from others in your childhood. So, you know, a lot of us didn't get that loving, caring, compassionate caring that we needed when we were growing up. So this is a way that we give ourselves compassion, and that comes up for us to heal it. The next gift of imperfection is connection. And I think we need the courage, and we need to be able to give ourselves and others compassion before we can connect in a really healthy way. Brene defines connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. When you feel seen, heard, and valued. When people can give and receive without judgment. Have you ever given, but really that giving was part of, I'm going to give so I can get some love? Or have you ever received and thought, I wonder what I'm going to have to give, what I'm going to have to do for this? Those are all judgments. So people that connect can do it without judgment. And when people derive sustenance and strength from the relationship, you know, you feel good. You don't feel drained. You feel good with the relationship. And connection begets connection. And the one thing I thought about, you could turn these statements around and use them to evaluate the relationships in your life right now. You could say, do I feel seen, heard, and valued? Is there a mutual giving and receiving without judgment? Do I derive sustenance and strength from this relationship? And do I want to connect more? And if you answered no to those questions, you can look at it and say, well, can this be improved? Or do I want to work on improving it? Or you can run like hell and get new friends. Yeah. We need to connect. It's hardwired in us. And what I mean by that, it's in our biology, it's in our brain. It's in our brain to connect. And Brene says, from the time we are born, we need connection to thrive emotionally, physically, spiritually, and intellectually. We need that. And it's all been proven by neuroscience, which I love so much, the brain research that's been done. And in his book, Social Intelligence, The New Science of Human Relationships, Daniel Goleman writes, even our most routine encounters act as regulators in the brain, priming our emotions. Some desirable, others not. The more strongly connected we are with someone emotionally, the greater the mutual force. So wow, we're hardwired, and our connections can change how our brain develops and form. And because there's plasticity in the brain, and the brain can continually change and renew itself, you want to keep yourself around good connections, because otherwise it's not going to be a good connection. So we want to increase our authentic and healthy connections and give up this idea that we can do it alone. I'm from the Midwest. I've been told to pull up your boots by your bootstraps and get her done. You don't need anybody. You just go out there and do it and get it done. Well, that's hogwash. And I said so. So let's be courageous. Let's show up and speak honestly with one another. And speak honestly about who we are, about what we're feeling, about our experiences. Let's be warm and loving and compassionate to ourselves and to others. Let's build relationships with each other where we really see the other. Not on Facebook, not on the telephone, not on the cell phone, but face to face. Look into each other's eyes. And really listen to each other. Not try to figure out, well, what am I going to say next? Or how can I top that story? But really listen. And value each other. Everybody has value. I don't care where you've been, where you're going, or what you're doing. Everyone has value. In unity, we say, I behold the Christ in you. And we mean that. Also, I love Karen Drucker's song, You Are the Face of God. You are the face of God. You are. So if we can do this, our personal lives are going to be healthier, happier, our relationships will soar, our communities will find a way to deal with the suffering that abounds, because it's out there. And we'll find a way to care for this earth so that generations that come will have everything that we've enjoyed and more. So I ask you to please join me. Let's support each other, because it takes that to live a wholehearted life. Thank you.